So we've ditched day 2 of Peppa Pig World. We've ditched day 2 of Paulton's Park because we basically got everything done yesterday because it wasn't particularly busy and it's not massive. And if you're not doing Peppa Pig World, you can easily get it done in a day. So today we are heading to Portsmouth Historic Dockyard to see some of the things there. So you got like the HMS Victory, the HMS Warrior, the Mary Rose, and we think there's a little harbour tour out to the Prince of Wales aircraft carrier, which I've been informed is in dock at the moment, but I'll probably find out that it's not, or that those harbour tours are all booked out. But so we're going to give that a go now, and we'll take you along and see what it's like. So this here in Portsmouth is a statue of St John the Evangelist as a fisherman. Yeah, Henry VIII. Over there is the HMS Warrior, which we'll go on in a minute. Well, we'll go on at some point today anyway. And over here is the harbour tours, which we will jump on. Next tour is at 12:15. So this is a map of the historic dockyard. So we are here. Loads of stuff to do here. Loads of stuff to do. Mary Rose, the Victory, number 8 is the HMS M33, which is the HMS Warrior there on the left, which is a steam and sail ship. So we're going to go over there and have a look at that first, I think. So we're going to go first. But whilst we're waiting for everybody to finish what they were doing, we're just going to have a quick look at this guy here. This chap here is Captain Robert Falcon Scott. So this is Scott of the Antarctic. So Scott, he famously went down to the Antarctic and then was beaten by Roland Amundsen to the South Pole. So this is the HMS Warrior. It's very, very windy down here, so apologies for really bad sound quality. This is a Victorian ship, a Victorian warship. It was the largest warship in the world. This is the HMS Warrior.
HMS Victoria.
HMS Warrior, which is a Victorian battleship. Caution, the decks are slippery when wet.
Wait, Dad, are you allowed to go up there?
No.
Wait, there's a ladder.
Yeah, but there's also a bar across it, so you can't go up there. I think it would have had a few more cannon on this in its heyday. Or maybe not, because these are Victorian guns, so they're big guns, aren't they?
They're big guns. Big guns.
You can go up this one, Josh.
Is that like the old Canada flag or something?
No, that is the Red Ensign. That is the British Royal Navy flag.
Are we allowed up to the crow's nest?
No, you're not allowed up to the crow's nest. Of course you're not. Yes, we can go inside the ship as well. Yes, of course you can.
Sorry folks, that is supposed to be closed at the moment.
Oh, okay, no worries.
On account of the wind. This uniform cost me about 2/3 of a year's wages. I'm not joking. It's a bloody Portsmouth harbour.
Wow, look at the steering. Look at this big cannon here. Look how far it would have recoiled when it got shot. See the metal bits there, Ollie, look. That's how far it would have come back. Yeah. So on the floor here, you've got all the metal which is used to manoeuvre the big frontal cannon around the ship. Oh, look. And over there is the Isle of Wight ferry. So here's all some muskets for the Marines. Not muskets, are they? Rifles, Baker rifles maybe? This is, and these down here are for when the crew got bored and they did the 10-pin bowling. That's right, isn't it, Josh?
Yeah. Big, isn't it?
Not if you had the amount of men that were supposed to be on here, it wasn't. All the cutlasses along the side, all the weaponry ready to fight. Ah, and this is the officers' deck. This is the officers' area. This is where we wouldn't be. So these are the officers' quarters. There's the officers' quarters, and this still got a hammock, but like a bed hammock, It's got a bit more comfort than the men, I would have thought.
I reckon it's because it sways with the boat.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Captain's got his own little coal fireplace as well, and the dining table. I'll show you when we get out there. They didn't have rooms. The crew struck their hammocks between the decks. The crew did not. The likes of you and I did not have our own room. I'll tell you that right now.
I wouldn't have been the crew. I would have been the captain.
You would not have been the captain. You're too low born, I'm afraid. Josh thinks he would have been a captain, or a first officer or something. He wouldn't have been a lowly crew member. This was one of the navigational officer's room, I guess.
Why would you want a cannon in your room?
Well, I don't think he wanted it, but I don't think he had a choice about it.
Ah.
So he's got a massive bugger off cannon in his room.
Oh, nice.
Shells as well, not just cannonballs, actual shells. No, I don't know. Might be. So Josh, this is where the crew lived. They didn't have their own room. They had like benches, and then they'd sling these bits here, they'd sling their hammocks up on these things.
Oh, cool.
No, not cool for them.
Well, I had an allowance from my father, and then my father died. The estate passed on to my brother, who cut off all of our allowance.
Oh, look, there's some of the bowling balls. Wait, are those cannonballs?
Yes.
But they were
See, look, there's some of the hammocks.
Oh yeah? No thanks. Can you stop doing that? It's disgusting.
Some of the hammocks where they would have slept, the crew would have slept. But now, I think modern times, people consider Monday to be the first day of the week. But Sunday we were always taught that Sunday was the first day of the week. So you'd have plunged, so that screw would have, if anything got stuck down there, you'd use the worm screw to get that out.
I think that would be used to push the balls down, and then this would be used to
clean the shaft. Yeah, so that's to push the balls down, and that's to clean the barrel, not the shaft, the barrel. That's to clean the barrel. I was going to laugh at this, and then I realised it's not funny. This is how many people would be sat at the bench. Why have they got little hats? Little party hats? No women on the ship. Women are bad luck.
Not even on like the...
No women on these ships, Josh. Women bad luck. It feels longer underneath than it does up on deck. So this will be the apothecary. Apothecary. That's right, isn't it? Medicine cabinet. The apothecary. What is the word? Apothecary. Apothecary. That's better. I don't know. Do you fancy some stew?
Yeah.
It actually doesn't look too bad, does it? It looks better than the breakfast we had in the hotel. Sick beds. Right down in the bowels of the ship now. So this is where the coal would have been burnt for the steam engine part of the boat. I've lost my coal monkeys. Coal monkeys!
Yeah.
Coal monkeys, yeah. This is the steam part of the. It's where all the all the coal would have been shoveled. Yeah, look, there's one of the steam engine, the ovens. What are they called?
No.
I think
if
they're.
you touch something, you explode.
God, how many? So many of them, isn't there? So this was a steam and sail ship.
Where's the engine?
So this is the HMS Warrior with the Spinnaker Tower in the background.
Us is the corner of South Railway Jetty, so the start
That's the
of
HMS Warrior there.
Nelson. The ships
That
would
there
anchor
is
at the deep
the
water
Victorian
anchorages
Railway
of
Station,
Spithead,
the terminus
because
for it.
the harbour wasn't deep enough for them to. Give
This
the
is the
guard a
HMS
wave on the back of the ship. Oh,
Sunderland.
look, he's stuck on duty today. Thank you, guys. Cheers them up.
That's a submarine
Now,
hunting
look at the
vessel.
general condition of the ship. She's
F81.
immaculate. She hasn't long finished a full refit. They've been through this ship inside and out, top to bottom. Now, they don't just spend their whole life looking for submarines. QEC, or Queen Elizabeth class carriers.
So this is
Now, at
the
65,000
this is the
tons, these
Queen
are
Elizabeth, the
largest
Queen
carriers
Elizabeth
built
carrier.
for the Royal Navy, and they were mostly built in Rosyth.
Prince of Wales, the other
284
carrier, is out
metres
on
long,
manoeuvres.
39 metres wide at the
Carries
waterline,
F-35 jets,
73 metres wide up on the top
the
deck.
pride of the Royal
A
Navy.
full quota of aircraft is 36, but they can easily manage up to 70. Most of
See
the
at the front
aircraft
there,
carried
it's
are
got
the
the ski ramp
F-35B,
off-lift.
Lightning II multi-role fighters. The rest, all the different types of helicopter. The crew complement, anything from 679 up to 700 people. There's purpose-built accommodation for up to 250 Marines. Now add all your pilots, the air crews and the technicians. You're up to 1,600 people on board.
1,600 people on
Reaching
board.
speeds of 30 knots plus.
Wow.
Operational range, 10,000 nautical miles. Queen Elizabeth cost £3.2 billion to build. Now we're just coming up to the north corner, folks.
See the
north
ski
corner
ramp,
was
Peg?
very
See the ski
significant
ramp
in
at the end where they
Napoleonic
take
time.
off from?
The harbour ended here. Portsmouth Harbour used to be really, really shallow. And every time the tide went out, most of this end down here would totally dry away. Some of it still does this today. Now, to make the harbour more user-friendly, we had thousands of prisoners. We put them to work, and they have to dig a channel. Now, named after Admiral
This is the
Duncan,
HMS Duncan,
defeated
Destroyer
the
37.
152.4 metres long,
The
weighing
six of the 6
7,350
destroyers that we have in the Royal
The
Navy.
crew complement. Anything from 190.
You can see how
up
modern
to
it is. Look at the
300
modern
people.
warfare, look at the modern weaponry and the
On the bow, a fully automatic,
sensor.
self-loading 4.5-inch cannon. The
Sensor
big box
suites all
behind
over
the
it.
cannon is the missile silo. Now it holds up to 48
cannon at the front
Aster
and
missiles.
the missile silo
They have
just
50
behind it.
caliber machine guns, 30mm cannons.
So this is the
About
HMS
3 or 4
Bristol,
years
which
ago
is a
now,
destroyer
on one of the routine
which fought in the
inspections,
Falklands.
it was deemed that she was getting close to the end of her life. They stripped her of everything and anything that can be used elsewhere, and she's now been sold to the scrapyard.
And then
That's why they
Defenders
brought her
36
here
over
last
there,
Friday.
the Diamond, and there's the other destroyer
On
over
the
there as
June
well.
the 11th,
So
a
we've
big
got 3 done and
tugboat will
3
arrive
in
and tow
dock
the
still.
ship away. How much do you think the Navy got for the ship? £1.25 million scrap
That island there is Rat Island. Apparently that's where they used to dump the bodies of the prisoners. It was overrun with black rats in the Victorian times.
He lives long enough
Lovely.
to tell him.
This boat here is a $100 million super yacht. It's registered in the Marshall Islands, and I knew that because I knew the flag at the back of it.
Oh yeah.
It was built in the Netherlands.
Don't trust him, he said curse out.
There's a deck gun here inside and then this is cat and nine tails that naughty children will get if they don't behave themselves. And a carved woolen linstick, a scale model of the Mary Rose, which was Henry VIII's. This was Henry VIII's flagship.
Whoa, that's cool.
This was originally shown at the Millennium Dome. So this is the figurehead of the HMS Illustrious. So this is the sailor's weekly ration: 56 pints of beer, bread or biscuits daily, butter 3 times a week, cheese 3 times a week, salt beef twice a week, dried peas 4 times a week, and salt pork twice a week, and some oatmeal. Josh is now Admiral Nelson, as he's come back from Trafalgar, pickled in brandy. So there's lots of interesting things here from the Georgian Navy. This cannon here. Yeah, so this cannon. This cannon was from the HMS Victory, a predecessor of the Victory that we're going to go to in a minute. So this here is the HMS Victory, probably the most famous British warship of all time.
And still having repairs on it, even.
Yeah,
I
might be wrong, but I'm sure it's still technically part of the British fleet.
Yeah, I'm sure it is as well. I'm sure it is as well, but my source is you.
Why don't you look up some better sources, Josh? Yeah. So this is the quarterdeck of the Victory. It's currently undergoing some work to maintain it. I think this boat itself fought at Trafalgar. What we're now going to do is, because I'm a small child, go to the poop deck. Poop deck's up there. So poop deck is named after the French word for stern, la poupe. Here's the steering wheel. This is Captain Hardy's dining cabin. So Captain Hardy was the person actually in command of the Victory itself, whereas Nelson was in command of the actual Navy. So this is Captain Hardy's day cabin. So there would have been cannon in here in time of war. So these windows would have been moved. All these partitions would have been taken down and stored. So these guns here are 12-pounders. So this is Captain Hardy's sleeping cot, which is obviously more comfortable than a hammock, because it's actually rigid. And then we're going to go right down to the bow, which is at the other end of the boat. So this is the quarterdeck where Nelson was shot. So this is the forecastle of the Victory, and that is a carronade, which is a really heavy gun, a 68-pounder. So this is the main gun deck of the Victory. A cannon in place as it would have been at the Battle of Trafalgar. You can see a lot of boxes and stuff here with the GR on it for George Rex, because it would have been King George who was in charge. Would have been in charge at the time. And then there's the gunpowder horn. Look.
Gunpowder horns made out of vinyl horns?
They look like they're made out of ivory. all the weaponry, some grappling hooks there to pull the ships together so they could board them, and then some grenades. Some grenades here as well. So this room here is Nelson's dining cabin. So now Nelson takes command when they're actually in Spain from Captain Harding. There's a map of the coast of Portugal and Spain. Down here is Trafalgar. So what are we gonna do, lads? Gonna smash them. Do you know how we won the Battle of Trafalgar, Josh?
No.
So.
Oh no, wait, no, I do know. They like ran the ships into the thing.
Yeah. So the normal rule of battle would be to line up against each other and just fire cannon shot at each other. And what the British did was, when the Spanish and the French lined up, they used two columns and smashed through the centre of the columns. And once they got side on, they could fire their entire broadsides into all the ships. But until they got to the point they were side on, they were basically sitting ducks. So it was a very risky manoeuvre, but it won out in the end. This is the upper gun deck. This is the second of 3 gun decks. This is the upper of the 3 gun decks. So this is the middle gun deck. Here's the kitchen. Here's the kitchen, Ollie. And here's some of the food. These are 24-pounders, and they could fire a gunshot over a mile. Here's the dedication plaque for the ship. Look, launched at Chatham Dockyard on the 7th of May, 1765.
Somebody's got a lion and a unicorn.
It's Scotland and England.
That's Wales.
Should be a dragon there as well. That'd be cool. Oh God, this is the surgeon's cockpit. Oh. So we're below the waterline here. Oh gosh. Ollie, look, that's what might happen to you if you if you don't wash your feet, yeah.
A bit more than washing time, that bit.
So this is the area where Nelson himself died, apparently. After he got shot, he came down to here. That's where Nelson lay, dying. There is where Nelson died.
He died.
Yeah. And they brought him. He got shot up on the quarterdeck, and then they brought him down here, and he realised that he was done for. So he told the surgeon to look after the other men instead, because he knew he wasn't going to survive it. The size of these ropes. This is the actual boat that they fought on at Trafalgar in 1805. So look, this is the carpenter's office, where they'd have patched up the ship if it got damaged. Well, when it got damaged, not if. You can see the hull. See the very bottom of the hull down here. Can't go any lower. So this is the Grand Magazine, where this is the biggest of the 3 areas for gunpowder on the Victory. Over 700 barrels of gunpowder would have been stored down here. How many fathoms deep it would be? All the way up to 25 fathoms. So This is the hull of the Victory from underneath. I've been here a couple of times and I've never been able to come underneath it that I can recall. Wow. You can see the wood rotting up there. So this is number 2 dock, which is a dry dock which was built at the end of the 18th century. Completed in 1802.
Victory saw action at Trafalgar and forms one of the oldest groups of dry docks in the world, begun in the 1690s.
And if we walk down the end here, we can see the Victory's rudder.
Prolific inventor and mechanical engineer.
It's amazing to think this wood is like, some of this wood would have fought in Trafalgar and is 200 odd years old.
Minimizing leaks at the gates. It was the first dry dock to be built in this way.
There's
Also made pioneering use
the
of
big
cement.
rudder of the Victory. So this is the Mary Rose experience here at the Historic Dockyard.
18 when I came to the throne. Yes, that's me up there. Hard to believe, isn't it? A great king should seek glory in just war and rightful conquest.
This here is a gun from the Mary Rose itself, one of the cannon that would have been used. And this is the painting of the Battle of the Solent. The French fleet on the left and the English fleet on the right hand side.
And the weather, suddenly as the wind picks up, there's gusts of wind, causing them to capsize. What happened then is, so the Mary Rose sank. The French realised there's no way they're going to get into Portsmouth. Stupid plan. They invaded the Isle of Wight, and that went horribly wrong for them. So by now, King Henry's got all his armies onto the Isle of Wight ready. So here you can see the French running away, because it's an English painting. So the English army fleet were off the Isle of Wight. Essentially, they went home. And that was it. So no one's ever heard of the Battle of the Solent. It was quite funny. Nothing really happened. It was a bit of a standoff with the Mary Rose.
So this here is the hull of the Mary Rose itself, the Tudor warship. So this here is what the ship would have looked like in its heyday. So that's got 4 decks, 2 gun decks, upper gun deck and the lower gun deck. So I remember when I first came here, it had to be sprayed with water to preserve it. On the sign around there it said it's been dry now since 2017. And here's some of the things that they got from the bottom, they took up from the bottom of the water. Some of the cannonballs. So what we're in here, this is a representation of the lower gun deck and all the medieval accoutrements of war. The surgeon's cabin. So this is the surgeon's cabin. They would have tried to save the men if they got wounded. Probably just chopped stuff off. There's the medieval guns, a bit different to the Victorian and the Georgian guns that we've seen at some of the other places here at the historic dockyards. The medieval guns have got these massive wooden carriages. These ones here are like are actually got proper carriages that you would recognise now, but these ones here are really old type of carriages, and the guns themselves are far more basic than these, which are probably the tippy-toppest, probably the epitome of medieval technology. Yeah, the Mary Rose, Henry VIII's flagship. So this here is the ship's badge. So this would have been at the end of the aft castle. Oh, it might be actually it's not the aft castle at all, it's at the bow. I read what it said at the bottom. So this would have been, here it is shown at the bow area on the bowsprit. I mean, it looks weird, bowsprit, which looks weird because if you look down here, you can see what the front of the boat would have looked like. And it looks odd because it looks like that should be the back of the boat, but I think that was very much the design. You had these aft and fore castles, and they were built more like castles, and some more things brought up from the bottom of the Solent. So we've got some saws. I mean, that's obviously a more modern blade being put on the end of it to illustrate what it looks like. And here's all the shipwrights' tools.
And if we were looking at it from the other end, you'd be able to see the end of the long range staves.
Ah, so those two types of guns were a breech loading gun and a muzzle loading gun.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The ship's dog. And this is a master gunner's uniform. It's a leather tunic. So this gun here is apparently the gun that identified the Mary Rose. Between 1965 and 1970, a team of divers searched the Solent for the wreck of the Mary Rose. And in 1970 they found this gun. It was rarely used for large guns in England after the end of the 16th century. Finding this narrowed the search area, and in early 1971 the first timbers of the ship were found. This is a stone shot from the Mary Rose. So it would have been chiselled by hand nearly 500 years ago. And you can see the gun ports of the Mary Rose, and the lids are just underneath them. So this is interesting. This is a cauldron that was used for cooking food. So this is a cast iron bombshell. Ah, so this is actually a bombshell that was dropped by sea diver John Dean, who used explosives to blow craters in the seabed in 1840s. So this here is some archers. So some of the archers that were on board the ship. This is some of their weaponry, some of their possessions. And this is a skeleton of an archer. Well, this is a skeleton of an English or a Welsh archer, with a longbow next to him. So you know he's English or Welsh from his teeth. Probably time for me to make a bad joke about English teeth. And this is what he probably would have worn. Interesting. So now we're down by the lower decks here. Fire that would have been used to do food, I guess. Some more equipment used by the craftsmen on the ship. And this is the very bottom of the Mary Rose itself. And if we look up here, that's pretty cool. You can see some of the people working on the ship in medieval times. Ghosts! And here's a depiction of the ship itself in all its splendour. And we've got some equipment of the cook in his galley. Down in the lower decks, you can see here, they did have those big stone-built vats for cooking. The archery store is on the second deck. And we've got some other food and gunpowder stored at the bottom. So this is one of the breech loading guns. Well, a reproduction of a breech loading gun. Some equipment from a wealthy officer. The pilot, so the guy who steered them, who navigated the ship from place to place. Here's some of the weapon from the Marines, or the Royal Bodyguards. So there's a crossbow there. There's not a crossbow at all. Yeah, there's some pikes, and some staffs, and some swords and daggers, and some bows and some arrows. And here, this is very interesting, some medieval longbows, a medieval machine gun, taller than the man who would use it for the most part. A Royal Archer from North Africa. So this is a facial reconstruction of an archer based on osteological, anatomical and isotopic analysis. He was found beneath the wheels of a bronze cannon on the main deck with his longbow and wrist guard on. He was in his 20s, about 5'10", and based upon his analysis of his teeth, he was definitely from North Africa. Here is some reproductions of some medieval weapons. We've got a bill. This was used in hand-to-hand fighting to hack and slash. Then we've got a halberd. This was not an everyday weapon, but it was only used by noblemen and members of the king's bodyguard. And then a pike. A group of men armed with pikes could stop an enemy boarding their ship. So this is only a half pike. A full pike. This is only a half pike. A full pike is obviously twice as long. Let's just go through the airlock because the ship itself is hermetically sealed to preserve it. Now, if we look over here, we can see the rudder. You can smell the wood. Almost 500 people died. Almost 500 people died as the ship capsized in the Solent, at the Battle of the Solent. And this is a forward-facing gun here. And it would have been found at the front of the aft castle. There's some of the men working on the ship as we go past. So this looks like Nelson himself. Yeah, it is. He's only got one eye. 100% Nelson. So this is the bowsprit of the Victory. So did you know that the Victory was towed back to Portsmouth in... it went back to Portsmouth. It served as a harbour ship from 1824 until 1922. And then she was placed into this dry dock here in Portsmouth.
I can't believe you knew all that from memory as well.
I can edit this out in post, Josh.
You knew all that from memory as well, which is
and
crazy. I'm
editing your sarcasm out in post. Don't worry. Here's the world famous laughing statue of a whopper. How long? Oh no. Josh, Ollie, don't ever be one of those people who pretends to be a statue in London to gain money.
Oh, yeah. Ollie, go.
So that concludes our trip to the historic dockyard here in Portsmouth. I've got a photo bomber, video bomber. So that concludes our trip to the historic dockyards here in Portsmouth. We did the harbour tour, and we did the HMS Warrior, and we did the Mary Rose, and we did the HMS Victory. There's a few other things that we didn't get to go on because we just didn't have enough time. We did have a stop off after the harbour tour to go to Slim Chickens, so that probably took up a bit of our time. Overall, I've had a good day here at the harbour tour. I've had a good day here at the historic dockyard. It's very, very interesting. There's lots of really important historical things here. Slim Chickens is not an important historical artefact. I would highly recommend this place. It's not cheap, I won't lie, it is not cheap, but then no days out are cheap anymore. However, it is one of these places where you get a 12-month worth of visitorship if you want to come back. So if we're ever in the area, which is highly unlikely because it's Portsmouth and it's quite a long way away, but I might come down here for work and come and visit here on my own. But yeah, I would definitely recommend coming, especially if you've got any sort of history, any sort of interest in history, specifically British naval history. It's very, very informative, and there's some very, very important pieces of history here, including the flagship of the first Sea Lord himself, the HMS Victory. Overall, 8.5, 9 out of 10. What's letting it down is the cost. That's the only thing that's letting it down. But yeah, definitely recommend it if you're in the area. Well worth a visit. In fact, it's worth coming to, even if you're not in the area. It's worth coming in. There's so many things to do here. It's a full day out. It's not just a couple of hours visit like a lot of attractions.
Yeah.
So in signing off, we'll say, as we usually do, which is get out there and explore your world. You have been watching Munchy Road Hippopotamus. Thank you for joining us in our adventures. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy our channel, and tell us about any adventures that you have in the comments below. Get out there and explore your world.